Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you all, and thanks for the TRA Academy for giving me this opportunity to talk to you as part of the UAE Hackathon activities. I'll be glad to talk to you today about how do you want to generate money from your customers. Before that, my name is Jamil Khatib, and I am founder of Ibtikar Consulting, working in the field of innovation. But in the early days when I started my careers, I was working as engineer for one of the largest telecom companies, Siemens, that provides solutions and products related to telecommunication infrastructure and networking in that area. Although this I was part of exciting and challenging projects, I saw some during my career, saw some products fail and don't generate money out of them. Besides that, there was some people who used to be creative and start not to be creative at certain points. So at that time, I started asking myself, what's happening? We are a good team. We are having good infrastructure, good access, but still things sometimes don't go forward, especially for the new technologies. This let me go directly and think about what kind of solutions. And for that, I found the program in Germany related to innovation management study, where I studied there and tried to get answers to these questions. And I will share partially some answers of the first question here in this session. And from that time, I started my company for innovation management and supporting services. So, in order to start the discussion of this topic of today and see how we can generate money from our products, but also I prefer to say from our customers. So let's see what you learned in the previous sessions. So you talked about the business model canvas, and the value proposition, and all these things as the introduction for your business. So the most important part of these sections or this is the customer. This is the customer segment where we start everything with the customers. So why do we want to have the customers? What do we mean by customer segmentation? Let's go through this before we be able to generate money. So let me show you this example. Do you know this large international company, IKEA? Can you guess who are their customers? What do they do for their customers? So basically, they are focusing on the middle class customers. And also as well, when they started at the beginning in their company, they focused on youth students and those who love the new modern furniture and how they look. So they started their business and managed to be very successful when they saw these customer segments and tried to serve them. Another example, if we go forward more to this, is the Apple iPhones. I'm sure you can guess who are the customers, but let's say and study where they focus mainly. They focus on high earners people, those who have high income. That's why you can see their products somehow high cost, while they're also focusing at the same time on professionals and managers and key people who would like to use this. What's the most important is the last point, is those people who have very loyalty to the brand. This is their focus. This is how they are trying to generate money out of these people. So they started with these customer segments and want to move forward and see how to generate the money. So at the beginning, these are the first important part. So what do we mean by this as customer segmentations and how to do that? First, it's a tool to identify our customers, to prioritize between our customers. And you saw in some examples previously in the iPhone, where there are two different categories or several categories of their iPhones, those high end and lower end, but they try to prioritize which one is the most important. They focus on the high end. Besides that, the customer segmentations, it's a tool to give us better planning for our business, for what we are going to do later. If we understand who we are targeting, then we can go forward and develop our plans, concrete plans, in order to develop the revenue. So there are several values for this customer segmentation. The first and most important is, how do you want to communicate? How do you want to promote? If you are promoting that this is a very cost-saving device, while you are targeting those who would like to see the higher quality, those who would like to have no worries about the cost, it's not a good approach. So this is one of the most important parts, is to understand how to promote these messages, how to select the right channels. For example, some customers will be easier to reach through social media, while others, you have to go and visit them in order to build better relations. So if you don't understand who are your customers and what's your segment, you cannot be able to reach them easily. And it also works for the customer relation. Some customers, for example, elderly people, if you don't go to them, give them their attention, simplifying their life, it will not be easier relation. You can't give them relation through social media, for example, because they might not be able to do that, to follow. So here are some important aspects, which are these part of what called the business model in general. You need to improve your product into the direction these customers are interested in. And the most important, once you have all these, you can be able to generate better sales, better revenue. And I would say here it's called high quality sales opportunities, because once you get clear idea who your customers and how do you want to reach them, you will be able to have higher quality. So you don't lose much time, you don't lose efforts, and be able to generate better revenues. So this is in general what do we mean by customer segmentations and why do we need to do that. But what kind of customers segments you can see? Traditionally, these are different 4 categories of customer segmentations based on the geography and demography and different aspects. So you can see people in different countries or even different cities can have different willing to pay. And the age, if you can go to the age of these people, you see, for example, younger generations might be attracted to new technologies and willing to pay for new technologies, rather than those who are older would like to have better value of their money and just to do the function what they want. So we have to understand where these people are living and what's the age group, what's the income, I would say the level of education, all these aspects, you need to understand them clearly. And there, besides all these, we can go to the other categories or other customer segmentations. For example, you see the personality or the values of these customers. There are people who would like to see focusing on the nature and the green and all these environmental aware communities. They would not care about what kind of technologies do you want to do, as long as you are selling them something environmentally friendly. So you have to be careful who they are, your customers, and how do you want to reach them. And as I mentioned in the iPhone example, so there are people who might be loyal, who would like to be very loyal for this their products. So they want to keep with the ongoing trend of their brand. They want to be more into their life cycle. They might change their behavior, and this is what we need also to understand. If you go and change our behavior or the customer by age or by not only their level of income, their level of what we live now in the pandemic situation, they would change their behavior and to have different demands, different requests. So we need to understand where they are and what do they know and how do they behave. If we are going to sell to people who are don't wake up early, so we don't need to sell them or to help them focus on the early morning activities. So let's focus on selling them coffee at that time in order to help them wake up. So all these aspects we need to understand and segment our customers fall into which category. And it will be great if you can specify within your business all these four aspects and define them explicitly for one or multiple customer segments at the beginning in order to be able to generate their or let them pay for you. And this is one of the examples I like very much about Amazon. What's the relation between Amazon and pregnancy? There are expectations or what Amazon is trying to do to understand, not only to sell their products, but to understand the behavior of their customers. So they collect information in order to see how these people would behave and react in the future so they can sell them the right products. So if they can find a trend in female in the age of 20 to 30 or 40 that they might be pregnant, if they can see understand their relation, and if they are buying things related to babies or reading books related to babies, so they can expect that these women might be pregnant, and for that they can recommend her different products related to the current situation. So for example, in this example, we can see how they try to collect first to define their customer segments, and how they collected information about them in order to be able to sell them the right products. So first thing, they have to define the customer and collect the information about them in order to be able to do the sales. So for the customer segmentation, I would say there are different or several points that we need to focus on in order to define the customer segment and how to get their information. So we need to see what kind of relevant data. For example, in the Amazon and pregnancy case, we don't need to know if they are male, because male can't be pregnant. So I need to collect the relevant data. If I want to target a potential pregnant woman, I need to target the age, to collect the age factor. So this is one of the items. I need to collect maybe their location, their physical location, and if it's possible to see their trend in buying things. So this is the kind of data that I need to collect or to define first, and then to gather this kind of information to build knowledge about them. Within your company or your business, when it's large business, you need to go and make internal communication with all departments, because sometimes some departments, for example, those who interact with customers or who give sales people, customer relations, even the production sometimes and the quality system, they can give you also information about these potential customers and how they can be linked. So you need at the beginning, when you collect and segment your customers, you need to define also the relevant data that you want to get and how to get this information, make it as part of your company in order to define these customers. We'll go more into details about the different approaches, but this is the most important part where you have to clearly define your customers and how to do that. So this will affect, as I said in the beginning, on your revenue model. How do you want to generate revenue from your customers and how to let them pay for the value that you are giving to them. So let's go and have some understanding. So revenue and revenue streams, they are not about setting the price that I want to charge my customers. So this is the first thing that we need to focus on and forget. It's not about price. And it's also not about the price that would cover my cost of production. And it's also not the revenue stream, it's not part of setting prices or against my competitors. So these are not the revenue streams what we are discussing here. Yes, prices is part of the revenue, but it's not the revenue stream. So the revenue stream, we have to know what are my revenues, from where I want to generate these revenues, from which customers, and how I can define and put these prices for my products, targeting different customers. So these are the two main questions for revenue streams: which sources and how to set the prices. So the revenue stream in general, I would say it's called the strategy as a company would use in order to generate this cash from different customer segment. So it's a strategic decision. It's not only a tactical decision like similar to the pricing. The price, I can say, today I want to make discount for this customer. Tomorrow I want to increase because I increase the cost or they have higher cost. So these are the pricing are more the tactical part on the daily basis, but on the strategic part, which is the revenue stream, which combines both the customers and how I want to generate money from them. So this is just to be clear before we go forward for the different approaches. So now, revenue streams. Once we define our customers and set several revenue streams, we need to know how do we want to generate this revenue. There are different approaches. The most common approach, which is the selling the assets here. We don't just focus on selling these assets, selling the products, selling the computers, selling our food or whatever. This is one of them. But there are multiple revenue streams. I'll go and give some examples of each one of these parts of revenue streams that you can try to define for your business in order to generate some money from your customers. So the first example, which is very traditional approach, is just take this product, sell it, get the money, which happens with mobile phones, with equipment, with devices, with cars, with all these tangible assets. Just it's one time selling. I give you my car, I get the cash for the car. That's it. So you are selling the asset. And here, in this case, might be suitable approach for customers who just want the asset and can, to some extent, value the asset or the product itself. This is their value, and they are capable of buying and paying for this asset. So we need to focus on these customers. So for the selling the products. But if you go to different type of customers, sometimes we don't need to sell all the product, or it's not the main part. Here, these examples, I can sell the razor and the blades. For example, the printer cartridges. And this is also for blood sugar test devices. They give you the product itself, the printer or the device here itself, at a very low price. Why? Because they know that the price is not the value of the product is not the value of this customer. It's the value, the usage of this device. So why should I charge him for high cost for buying the device? They can go to a lab and test their blood sugar. So here I would, or into a printing house to print. So they want to give them lower price and give the value to the cartridges that can be replaced and keep bought over the time more and more. So here it's more focusing on customers that are interested in the product itself, but not to be used as once, but to be repeatedly used, and not willing to pay much for the price, but is really want to keep on buying or using the device. So in this case, I would sell them, make the product lower cost, sell them the supplies or the consumables of this device. So, but here again, why I want to be part of the customer segmentation, I want these customers to be locked to my business, to keep buying the services, and I can generate different revenue streams and keep the relation with them, can improve always my products based on the feedback I learn from them. Not like, for example, the one-time sale of the product. I give them the product and my relation might end if I'm focusing on only this part. So this is one of the ways to generate revenue. There are services and usage fees. This is what we usually find common with the telecom operators, with cloud services, where they charge you for what you are using. They don't charge you for everything as a package. Just as much as you use, you can pay for that. How many minutes I use, how many megas I download from the internet, what's the amount of the server or the transactions I would use on my Amazon Web Services platform, I would pay for that. And this would usually reduce what we call it the capital investment of your company. So you don't need to bring huge servers in order to build a website. You just go and rent, pay for the usage that you are going to use of this server, and keep upgrading it. So most of your cost will be operational rather than capital investment, because you might not need to have this capital as the server in the future. So just pay for the usage here. So you need to focus on which customers who might be interested in this type of services. So it's the usage for the service. The other approach, what we recently started to see a lot on the subscription fees. So here you give them, the customers, monthly subscription, and you can be free to use these services, which we see it more and more into the video on demand services, the video streaming services, and even for some of the tools like Microsoft Office become a subscription fee instead of buying the product. You just subscribe, monthly subscription, and keep using this. What's the value of this? both it would create might be win-win for both parties. For you, you can generate basic income and revenue, regardless of what the customers is using. And as at the same time, the customer would have guaranteed access to the service during the subscription period, regardless of how much they are using it. So it will be good if you can combine usually between this subscription fees approach and the usage approach. But who would decide? It's based on your customers, which customers, and what is the nature of the product. So there are some examples on online streaming that you can just rent a movie. So you can buy for the usage. But for others, okay, I don't want only to watch one movie, but I want to have the access for the whole month, for the whole year, to watch whatever I want. So here's the subscription. So always consider these factors related to your customers and related to your business as well. More and more we go into the services, and here what we talk about the fees and renting and leasing with the apartments, with hotels, where you can get a service. You don't need to buy the asset. You just want to have the service provided, similar to the subscription. It's renting or leasing. I want to use it for a specific period of time, or for temporary usage. So I just rented this part. And this happens, if we map it to the IT, it's similar to, I would say, the subscription approach. So this is the part of this. Now, this is a very interesting approach of generating revenue, because you can generate revenue in this case when you're licensed to third parties. Here, usually it's on the IP, it's the intellectual property. If I patent something, I get a patent for a new technology or a new device. You know, these devices, the caps for the cola bottles, they are patented, and the patent owner don't care about the production of these parts or these caps. They just sell or license the IP, the patent, their rights to these companies against some fees. So here I just use my creativity and innovation, develop this idea, just give the right for others to use my idea and to generate money. So here it depends on the target customers. For example, if I'm an inventor, they don't have the capability to make the production. So I don't need to wait till I get the production cost covered. And so I just want to have the product or the license to the using the IP for someone who is having higher production and investment capabilities. And this also happens a lot in the software areas. So I just give you the right to use my software, to use some parts, maybe a streaming library for videos. I just give it to you so you can use it for some fees. And this is very good approach for those who focus on high technologies and very novel, innovative ideas. Yeah, some of the other approaches is the brokerage fees, which usually what we can see in the real estate or business development. So I'll sell you, or I will rent you for this apartment in exchange for some fees, brokerage fees as a commission. So this could be another approach. I don't need to sell what I have. I just want to sell someone else to their client in order to get this commission. So it could be, for example, matchmaking between different buyers and sellers. which is something in the IT, similar to the online marketplaces that can combine both buyers and sellers and let them have the transactions, and we take the brokerage fees or the commission for this. But I don't own neither but I'm not the owner and not the customer of both transactions. So consider this also for different approaches. What's also when the software technology started to appear and different approaches, we have started to have what's called term freemium, where I can provide free or basic features of my product. And then I have fees for extra and advanced features. This is what, for example, in Dropbox, or on most of these cloud-based storage services, they give you access to a basic storage size or capacity and some services that are free. But if you want, once you get used to these services and want to expand, you have to pay more. And in this approach, you can attract more customers while having the opportunity to generate revenue from those advanced customers who require advanced technologies. And this approach could be good for early stage startups who might think about getting more tractions for their projects. Because if you start directly with selling your software or selling your services, might not be able to get the validation of your product, which is needed by the investors. Usually they want to see that there are people interested or there are customers, potential customers interested. So in this case, you can just show them that there are some people who are interested in my service. And if I manage to add 1, 2, 3 services for fees, they will be paying for these services. So always consider this approach in the beginning. It will help you in creating this customer traction for your business. Okay, similar to all these, we have the advertisement approach, which is basically what Google and Facebook do. They have 2 types of segments, customer segments, the advertisers and the users. So they are, as much as they are more users, they can create more customers and let them pay for the fees. So in this case, they have 2 parts, the customers and users, and they can generate the advertisement for these users. And this is what makes these companies large. But without having the users, they will not be able to have the advertisement. So you need to be careful with this, especially with these online businesses going around. Okay, so these are some types of areas to generate revenues. I will share you this example. It has different approaches of generating revenues, which I call the business model approach. So this is like a filter that enables you to drink from any water, clean water, directly from the pool or wherever you find the water, which is a product called Livestream. Yeah, it costs around 15 to 30 US dollars, but the people of this product, they initially wanted to target those who go to jogging in the mountains in different areas, and they don't want to hold a large amount of water while they are walking. So they give them this access, and these customers are willing to pay for this kind of prices. But when they went to Africa or India, when they had this accessibility of clean water is much more on demand and needed, they couldn't sell these products because of the level of income of these people. So what did they do? They cannot sell these products to these customers. So what usually is done in the countries when they want to purify water, they would boil the water, evaporate it, and get it back to be as pure water suitable for drinking. And in this case, what's happening when they burn wood, they will, lot of carbon dioxide will emit into the air and would increase the carbon footprint of that country. So there is a business globally buying the carbon footprint from different countries. For example, industrialized countries that would generate a lot of carbon due to their manufacturing, they would go and buy the other countries' shares from the carbon footprint that they don't use. This is part of the international treaties. Countries are allowed to emit certain amounts of carbon, and other countries can buy their shares. So what this company did is they calculated the amount needed to clean, to purify the water using, while burning the wood, and how much carbon dioxide will be emitted. And they bought this amount of saved carbon emission from using this kind of filters, and so sold it to other countries, from African countries to other countries, and they got the commission fees from, I think they did this deal with Kenya, if I'm not mistaken, and they sold the carbon footprint to I think to the US. So in this approach, yes, they sold the product. And here they have different approach of selling or generating revenue, even from customers who are not be able to pay. So they found another customer who can pay for them. So always think and have multiple streams of your product. And this is very important to consider. So this is the main approaches of revenue streams. Let me just go and focus again on the value. I was mentioning all these approaches focusing on the value of the customers. That's why they are willing to pay. So why do we want to focus? Customers would not pay for your product. Don't even think about it. No customers will pay for your product. They will pay for the value that they are going to get from your product or your services in the way that would not affect them negatively. So this is, always think about it, the value. And this is why we can say about traditional water bottle, it will be sold, I don't know, in cents maybe, but if you go and sell this same bottle of water to people or to someone who is lost in the desert, they might pay for millions for this bottle of water. So again, the revenue, what you are going to generate, it's not related directly to the product, it's related to your customer and how much they are willing to pay. So consider this. And there are different types of water, similar water, different brand, different quality. So what makes this higher cost rather than this lower cost? It's the willingness of the customer to pay for this value and how much. So always think about it, customers and the value that they want to get and what they are willing to pay for you. So there are different reasons, different value propositions. I would not go into the details of these value propositions approaches and why the customers, because it depends on the customer's segments. So they might buy for features. They might like you in order to pay for you. They might also want to have easier to buy. So if I'm getting this product directly to my home, It's easier than just I will be willing to pay more than going to the shop to buy it. So think about the customers and why they want to pay for you. So there are different approaches for customers. I will go through them quickly to give you some time for questions. For example, Uber, it's not the customers not buying for only the transportation. They want to be smart, quick, better services of the transportation. So this is the value what they are providing. You are paying for them. iPhone, it's not only the product itself, it's the experience that the customer are facing and having. So focus on that. That's why they keep on simplifying, they keep on improving the products into the user experience part, because this is the value what the customers are willing to pay. Zoom, like the different technologies what we are talking about, it's not only just because of online communication, but it's how to connect it and how to connect it between people and how to do more things. You can see with Zoom, you can integrate with the calendar, with different live streaming technologies. So it's giving you the opportunity to do more things as a platform. WordPress, I'm not sure if for those who are technical and techies, it's a platform for building websites easily. It's free, it's easy to build and use and customize. And this is what they are selling. They can give you more services based on having wide range of developers around the world. So this is the value. This is one of the tools personally I like. It's Canva. It's a tool to to design artworks, for example. It's very much easier than any other tools because, for example, I'm not a designer. I just want to have the work done, and I want it to be simple. I don't want to be overcomplicated. I don't want to be very much efforts to pay for that. I just wanted to be quick, simple, easy, do it quickly, and it's online. So this is their value, what the customers are willing to pay. Amazon, again, it's more into having online store that buys anything, anywhere, anytime. And this is their value because they are selling the same products in general. So here is the difference. How do you want to sell online and sell everything? Okay. So before I finish, I want just to go into this last part, which is the tactical part, as we mentioned. All what we discussed before are the strategic part. We need to think about and to have the plan. But now we have to reflect that on the pricing. You have to consider always that there are different types of pricing. So I can just go and price according to the cost and have extra margin, or I can make the pricing based on this customer and what they are willing to pay. For example, for prestigious products or customers that are looking for this, they would not pay for cheap products. So you don't negotiate with them with the price. Just negotiate with them what their position in the community would be if they are belong to this customer group. And this is what we see often with these brands, with especially for ladies, where they go into these types of brands and fashion. So just to be part of this community, and they are willing to pay more. So these are different things. Here, bundles, I can define different products together and sell them together and generate revenue from different parts. Yeah, they are the traditional approaches for the competition and how to make this prices. Yeah, they work, and but again, depends on your customers. So this is just to think about them, and there is something called the price sensitivity. which you need to consider. For example, if you have the bread, if you increase few cents, few in the price of bread in some countries, it will make different changes in their lifestyle, and they might not be able to sell because you are touching the core food for them. And it happens in different countries related to rice, for example, related to noodles, different things. So there is something called price sensitivity. If I increase the price, or if I change the price, I would change dramatically how the customers are willing to pay. Also, what's usually depends on the quantity. If I change the quantity, I might also change the prices for my customers. So this is something you need to consider. Not only setting the price would be fixed, and changing it would be easy because it depends on your customer segment and on your product. Some customers are, based on their products, they don't care if you change maybe even hundreds. If you go to buy a real estate, hundreds is not that much would affect buying decision. But if you change few cents on bread or rice, it will affect buying your buying decision and generating the revenue. So this is mainly what I want to discuss. Again, to summarize, focus on understand your customers, what you want to make value for them, and link your strategy, your revenue stream strategy, to both the customer and the value for your customers. And it will be great if you can generate multiple revenue streams from your products for your business with targeting different customers. Don't focus from the beginning on the price. Focus on this strategy and where you want to generate revenue. Okay, and I think I'm now ready for questions. I will go to the questions and to see. Okay, I guess I have one question here. So it's AWS, the Amazon service is good for startups or heavy sites. Again, it's this is one of the might be technical issues related to you. Do you want to go into deep services? Yeah, you need maybe something like AWS. But if you just want to go to a website, a platform, maybe you can find some other platforms easier. But it depends on the applications, what you want to achieve. Okay, the other question, you mean to say resell Netflix? I'm not sure if I mentioned resell Netflix, but the subscription of Netflix. So you pay subscription fees to Netflix, and then just let them enjoy the services. Resell, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, to resell Netflix. I did not understand the question if it's about reselling. Yeah. Another question, when we start an electronic business, what we should have firstly? Yeah, as I mentioned, define, if you have the idea, define your customers who you are targeting. Could be one or multiple customers, in order to understand them and how to give them the value that they want to pay for. So define your customers, deeply understand them first. how do you want to, if you go to operational side, just try to have, once you define them, just go into discussion and maybe different tools of interaction to get direct feedback, like some pages that you can just attract them, or start Facebook page, or just to get engagement with them and see what they are willing to pay and what they value. So yeah, I have these questions. I'm not sure if there are other questions. There are no other questions. I would go and jump to a slide that I wanted to share about also the payment. We need to consider the payment approaches that we have to link it to our customers, especially in the recent pandemic situation, that there are different ways and that the people are hesitant to have this direct contact with the payment. So it's not only what the customers are willing to pay and how much they are willing to pay, and there is how do you want them to pay, or how they feel comfortable by paying. So there are different approaches of the payment methods that are contactless. Yeah, I have another question. Okay, here's the question about clothing. Clothing, and it's about clothing, so it's a bit hard to target. Yeah, again, it depends on your customer. If you have your customer are willing to pay, focusing on the brand, you need to create a brand for that. And yeah, you can increase the price. You need the clothing. Again, you have male, female. You need to define your customer based on that. And the age group, what kind of age group? Also, is it winter or summer? Yeah, there are different things that you need to attract and to understand related to clothing. It's not just like, for example, I would say bread. What the example I mentioned, bread is a way to understand the customers. There's the traditional consumed bread every day, and there are some reinforced breads with vitamins, with different minerals, with different types of breads. So all of them are bread, but you can have different types and different customers willing to pay. The same goes to the water. There are different types of water bottles. You can buy a water bottle, you can tap water, or you can just buy sparkling water. So different customers would need different products and different payments. Okay. So the question, what is the best payment gateway? Yeah, I'm not expert in payment gateways per se, but there are many around the world. So I cannot answer this more technical. And other question about Bitcoin for payment. Yeah, it's a good, I would say, approach for payment. It's different, but again, you need to understand your customers. If they don't have Bitcoin, how would they pay for you? So if they have Bitcoins and you are targeting those who have Bitcoins, maybe they are more into the tech savvy, or those who are interested in technologies, or who are willing to use Bitcoins and make their payment. So it's will be good. But if it's not good approach for using Bitcoins. Again, linked to your customers. and how they are willing to pay. Okay. Is Amazon Shop a good option for start a business, and what is the most important tool that you need to have? Okay, Amazon, is it a good start? Again, a general question or answer, yes, a good approach to start selling for products on Amazon, but it depends on your customers. If you want to reach, or if your product targeting customers that are not very specific, yes, you can just sell it on Amazon. But if you are focusing on customers that, for example, focusing on healthy products, maybe it's much better if you go and sell on related platforms, because you'll get reach more better to your customers. Okay, another question. What is the best online website shopping for clothes? Yeah, I cannot comment on that. I'm not expert in this. PayPal is more safe. I would say PayPal is one of the oldest payment gateways or tools that are used. So I would assume it's safe, but it's, again, for safety, you need to go and, like any other things, link it always with your customers. Is it safe for this specific customer? Maybe, for example, if you go and old people, they might not be easy understand how the PayPal process is working and how to deal with it. So it might not be safe for them. So always link it to the customers, even for the safety and the selection of the payment method. Okay. Another question, when we plan make a new app for payment in Europe and payment Bitcoin, what do you think? Will it be successful? Yeah, again, it's not easy to judge payment in Europe and payment in Bitcoin. So again, are they willing to use Bitcoins? Do they have access or not? So you know more about your customers. That's why you need to understand them much more for this kind of Bitcoin issues. Okay, another question. Amazon took high percentage for their services. Is it better to start on own platform? Yeah, it depends on, again, your customers and what you want to do. Amazon or these general platforms can give you access better to a wider range of customers because they have already their customer base. You can just put or list your product and just use their customer base in order to sell your products. If you want to start your own platform, you have to develop your platform. You have to take care of the logistics and the operational aspects and the investment aspects, and to increase traction to your platform. Again, it would depend. My personal opinion, I would say, have your own platform, but have also use Amazon or some of these customers. So just focus on your customers. Okay, I hope you enjoyed and learned something useful for your projects. Thanks a lot, and enjoy, and wish you all the best in your projects. Bye.